What is up, everybody? RetroWolf88 here, coming at you today with another Nintendo Switch limited game release video. In the previous videos, we looked at the first 5 releases from super rare games, as well as the first 10 releases from limited run games. I have a new company for you today. We are going to look at the first 5 Nintendo Switch limited releases from East Asia Soft. Now, if you're new to this type of video, how we do this is I go through each game and give you my impressions of the game, what I think about it, and then I show you the actual packaging and the extras that come with the standard edition of the game from the company producing the limited run of that game. So be sure and smash that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, so that you can join the RetroWolf family. And let's take a look at the first 5 releases from East Asia Soft. First up on the list is Dimension Drive, the very first Nintendo Switch release from East Asia Soft. Now, Dimension Drive is a shoot 'em up. As a matter of fact, the first 3 releases from East Asia Soft are all shoot 'em ups. And Dimension Drive has a story. It's like a comic book style story involving alien races and sci-fi, multi-dimensional travel. Let's be honest here, not very many of us play shoot 'em ups for the story. Most of us play shoot 'em ups for the gameplay and because we love shoot 'em ups. And Dimension Drive is a very unique shoot 'em up with a very unique gameplay mechanic that's also hard as nails. In Dimension Drive, the screen is separated in the middle. You have 2 sides, and you actually swap between the 2 sides, like you're swapping between dimensions basically. So when your ship is on this side, you'll see a little dot on the other side representing where your ship is, and as you move around, the dot moves around as well, and that tells you where, when you shift to the other dimension, that tells you where you're going to appear. So you have to be very careful that you don't appear in the middle of gunfire from another ship, or appear in the middle of an obstacle and get blown up. So as you're shifting between the 2 different sides of the screen, you've got to be very careful. You got to pay attention to 2 screens at once basically when you play this game. And switching between the 2 different screens, killing enemies between the 2 different screens, is a good way to increase your combo multiplier on your score as well. Now, in this game, the controls are very simple. You shoot and you switch between the 2 different dimensions. There's some other abilities that you unlock as you progress through the game. I haven't got that far yet because the game is absolutely kicking my ass. Now, as you're shooting, you have an energy meter that slowly goes down. But what's cool is, as your energy meter on one side slowly goes down, your energy meter increases on the other side. Hence, switching between the 2 different screens, the 2 different dimensions, there's kind of a rhythm. So if you start getting low on energy on this side, swap to the other side, start blasting away some enemies, and your energy will increase on the other side, and you can kind of swap back and forth. Now, you also get energy by killing enemies, but you have to absorb it. You pick up shields, you pick up power-ups. There's data cubes in each mission that you got to pick up, and some of them are like enclosed by obstacles, and what you have to do is you have to, like, let's say on this side of the screen I have a data cube that's surrounded by obstacles. I have to be on this side of the screen and move around and position my, I'm just going to call it phantom ship, in that obstacle, and then shift, grab the data cube and shift back to the other side before I run into the obstacle and die. So there's a lot of situations like that. There's a ton of stages in the game. At the end of each stage, you do fight a boss, and boss fights can be pretty challenging. It's a pretty fun game. It can also be played co-op as well. I have not tried it co-op. I'm not sure how that works yet. I'll probably try it at some point here pretty soon. If you've tried this game co-op, let me know in the comments down below how that works and how it is. But all in all, Dimension Drive is a pretty solid shoot 'em up and a pretty good release from East Asia Soft for the Nintendo Switch physically. Now, let's take a look at the actual physical package and what comes in the box.
Here is the front cover of Dimension Drive, the back cover. Here is the cartridge. Then we have this really cool thing that I pretty much ruined by folding and putting in the box. Some nice little artwork from the game there. And we have a Dimension Drive, I believe this is a sticker. And then we have the manual for the game. Love to see these included. Just has some general basic information about the controls, the abilities, all that good stuff. And then we have the inside cover art. Not bad.
Next up is East Asia Soft's second release for the Nintendo Switch, and that is RXN Raijin. This is another shoot 'em up game, another shmup. RXN Raijin is a little more generic than the last game on the list. You go through each level. Some levels are boss fights, some levels you're just fighting enemies. You have 3 different mechs to choose from in this game. Each mech has its own weapon loadout. How the gameplay works is you move around on the screen and you have your 3 different weapons, each assigned to a different button, and then you have a button that activates your, I guess, ultimate weapon, which uses up a section of your shield. At the bottom of the screen you have a shield which sort of serves as your life. The shield is divided up into 3 sections, and when you use your ultimate weapon it uses up a section of the shield. Your shield does recharge over time as you play the levels. As you kill enemies you get materials which levels up certain aspects of your ship. You get experience points at the end of each mission, and you may or may not level up at the end of each mission. So you can kind of level up each mech if you decide you want to, I guess, switch between them or whatever. This is very much a bullet hell shooter, especially during the boss fights. The boss fights are very bullet hellish. So you're just dodging just bullets flying all over the place. Boss fights have 3 different sections to their health bar. When you knock down one, the boss fight sort of changes. The boss transforms a little bit until you finally knock down each health bar and destroy the boss. It's an okay shoot 'em up, single player only. It's not the best. It's not by any stretch of the imagination the best shoot 'em up I've ever played, but it was at least enjoyable. It's not one that I think I'm going to sit down and play all the way through though, because I just didn't find it very exciting or unique. But if you're a fan of shoot 'em ups, you should at least check it out, and that is RXN Raijin, the second release from East Asia Soft on the Nintendo Switch physically. Let's take a look at the packaging and what comes in the box.
Next up we have RXN Raijin. There's the front cover, the back cover. On the inside we have this really cool sticker for the game. We have a Play Asia sticker, and we have the manual. Again, basic information about the game with some artwork, really nice manual. Really wish every game would come with a manual, but that's just not the way the world works anymore. And then we have the cartridge, and here is the inside of the box. And I actually this is not, let me pull this out. So here's the inside, and I actually stuck this in there as well. Again, I kind of freaking messed it up like an idiot, but some cool artwork from the game here.
Next up on the list is East Asia Soft Nintendo Switch physical release number 3, Shikhondo Soul Eater. This is a really unique and weird, strange, bizarre shoot 'em up game. Bullet hell shoot 'em up game. I don't really know the story of this game, but I do know that it is inspired by Asian mythology, so that's pretty neat, and you can definitely see that in the artwork in the game. Which, by the way, let's start with the artwork. The artwork in this game is pretty incredible. It looks hand drawn and hand painted to me, which is just very impressive. And there's a lot of really bizarre, unique enemy designs and level designs and boss designs that, even though I don't know anything about Asian mythology, I can tell that it's influenced by Asian mythology because it looks very mythological. It is a pretty fun shoot 'em up game. It's very short, only 5 stages. At the end of each stage you fight a boss fight. Throughout each stage you're just dodging bullets all over the place, killing enemies. Like I said, it is a very bullet hellish type of shoot 'em up. You have a basic attack. You can also hold a button to slow down your movement, which makes your dodging of the bullets a little more nuanced. While your movement is slowed down, your attack changes a little bit. The game encourages you to get as close to enemy bullets as possible because you absorb souls from those bullets, which you can then use to activate a soul attack mode, which allows you to do very powerful attacks that fill the screen almost and do a lot of damage. Allows you to kill enemies quite a bit. And then you have bombs. I don't know what they're called officially, but they're sort of bombs you can use that will kind of clear the screen for you. Now, the boss fights in this game are pretty disturbing. I don't even know if I can show the boss fights in this video. It starts off as like a normal woman that you're fighting as the boss, but then whenever you get through that first phase, it turns into a grotesque, naked, like dismembered creature. It's pretty horrifying, actually. It's pretty bizarre, and I'm not going to show any of that footage in this video because I don't know if YouTube would like that very much. All in all, it's a pretty solid shoot 'em up. Again, not my favorite, but it is pretty decent. If you're a fan of shoot 'em ups, I encourage you to check this game out. That's Shikhondo Soul Eater, Nintendo Switch release number 3 from East Asia Soft. Let's take a look at the packaging and what comes in the box.
Here is Shikhondo Soul Eater, the front cover, the back cover. On the inside we have the cartridge. Here is the manual. Such a bizarre game. And we have the really creepy and weird inside cover art.
The fourth physical Nintendo Switch release from East Asia Soft is Reverie Sweet Ez Edition, and this is a really cool game. First of all, let me say this, and if this doesn't sell you on this game, I don't know what will. This game reminds me of the gameplay of Legend of Zelda merged with the art style of Earthbound, and it is awesome. The game is beautiful. The pixel art graphics are really nice, and they really capture that kind of old school SNES, NES feel, especially, like I said, Earthbound on the NES. The art style really reminds me of that quite a bit. With the gameplay of Dungeon, because it takes place on an island called Taromi Island, which is inspired by an island off of New Zealand, and you take on the role of a young boy who is on a journey to venture throughout the island and defeat 6 dungeons so that he can put the spirits of the island to rest. And the gameplay, like I said many times, is just like the Legend of Zelda. You move around on this map, you find dungeons, you defeat the dungeons, you beat the bosses at the end of the dungeons, you get items throughout the course of the game that you can then use to explore new areas and find new power-ups and find new hidden secrets and explore further dungeons, all in an ultimate quest to defeat the game. It has that Legend of Zelda formula to it, and that is one of the things that really sold me on this game, because I'm a huge fan of the Legend of Zelda. The gameplay is really fun, and the music is really good. It's just all around a really good game, and if you're a fan of any Zelda game, especially the old school Zelda games, then you owe it to yourself to check out Reverie Sweet Ez Edition, because it will really scratch that old school Zelda itch. Also, if you're a fan of Earthbound, I recommend checking it out as well, because like I said, the graphics in this game really remind me of Earthbound. All in all, a really good game, really awesome release from East Asia Soft. Now let's take a look at the packaging and what comes in the box.
Here is Reverie Sweet Ez Edition. There's the front cover. Very nice front cover. I like that quite a bit. And we have the back. I also like how they did the back for this game. On the inside we have the sticker for the game. We have our Play Asia sticker, and here is the cartridge. And this one has a really nice, really thick manual. This is probably the best manual that I've seen so far. Just packed full of information, several pages, talks about the story, enemies, tons of information about the game, including the New Zealand national anthem. And then we've got some actual photographs from New Zealand, which is an absolutely beautiful place. But a really nice manual. They did a really good job on that one. And then we have the inside cover art.
Next up from East Asia Soft release number 5 for the Nintendo Switch, the physical version of Oniken plus Odallus collection, and holy shit, this one is awesome. In Oniken plus Odallus collection, you have 2 games in one. You have Oniken and Odallus, and both of these games are just absolute love letters to the 8-bit NES era. Both of these games are just so faithful to that era that it makes me very happy in my retro heart. In Oniken, you take on the role of a futuristic ninja named Zaku in a post-apocalyptic sci-fi world where you're trying to defeat a sinister corporation. The gameplay progresses through various stages, and this game, so Oniken kind of reminds me of Ninja Gaiden. It seems like it had a lot of influence from Ninja Gaiden, except it's a little more basic. So in Oniken, you have a sword attack and you can throw grenades. You don't get any power-ups, at least not that I've seen so far. But it's a very difficult game, just like a lot of the old school games from the 8-bit NES era. The 8-bit pixel art graphics are absolutely fantastic, and the game has a really nice sort of CRT filter on it that really gives it that nostalgic old school feel. And it has that old school difficulty as well. The enemy variety and enemy sprites are all really nice. The backgrounds are really nice. Such a highly polished and well put together game that really scratches that nostalgic 8-bit itch. And the music, holy hell, the music is great. Let's take a listen to the music for just a moment. The boss fights are really fun, really difficult. You really have to learn the patterns of the boss. And like I said before, this is a hard game. Oniken is really challenging. I couldn't even beat the second stage. I'm going to go back to this game and I'm going to beat it eventually, but it's going to take a while because it is difficult. Now let's talk about Odallus. Just like Oniken, Odallus is a love letter to that 8-bit NES era. Odallus is sort of an action-adventure game where you take on the role of a warrior that's trying to save his son from the darkness. And the game has a world map where you progress through different stages. You can go back to previous stages in order to find new secrets as you get new abilities and weapons in the game. It has a sub-weapon just like in the Castlevania series, and you have your main sword. You have different swords that you get throughout the game. And again, this is a really difficult game. The stages are pretty large and sprawling with many different hidden secrets and sometimes multiple paths you can take and shortcuts you can find. There's a shopkeeper in each stage that you can find to regenerate your health and buy power-ups and restore your sub-weapons and that sort of thing. And again, the 8-bit graphics in this game are phenomenal. They're so good. They really remind me of Castlevania. As I said before, the gameplay reminds me of Castlevania, and the progression reminds me of Castlevania. And it's a very brutally difficult game, and it really scratches that 8-bit NES nostalgic itch. And again, just like Oniken, the music is phenomenal. Let's take a listen to some of the music from Odallus. The boss fights are really fun and really difficult, and man, both of these games are just phenomenal, especially if you grew up during the NES era or if you're a fan of old school 8-bit games. This developer, this company that made these two games, they deserve a hand. Just bravo. And again, I'm a little biased because I love, as you can see, old school 8-bit style games from the NES era. So those two games just really made me very happy. Now let's take a look at the packaging and what comes in the box.
And here is the Oniken plus Odallus collection. Really nice front cover art. Then we have the back, a little bit of information on each game. When we open it up here, we have the sticker for it. Very nice. And we have a coupon. So I'm going to show this coupon code. Whoever wants to use it first, go for it. It expires in September. I don't know if it's still active or not, but there you go. Whoever wants to use it first for playasia.com. $5 off. Some art from Panty Party. If you don't know what that is, go on PlayAsia and look it up and find out for yourself. It comes out pretty soon. And we've got our PlayAsia sticker. And let's show off the cartridge itself. Very nice. And we have the manual. Nice little manual, just basic controls and information about each game. Basically just the controls and the story, a little bit about how to play. So, very basic, but still nice. I like that. And then we have the inside cover art.
So how do I rank these first 5 releases from East Asia Soft for the Nintendo Switch in order from my favorite to my least favorite? Well, you're probably not going to be surprised that my favorite of the 5 is the Oniken plus Odallus collection. Simply because the games are really good, they're really faithful to the 8-bit NES era, and they really scratch that nostalgic itch. So this one is definitely my favorite of the 5. Secondly, again, because I'm an old school retro gamer, Reverie Sweet As Edition really scratches that nostalgic itch as well because it reminds me of the SNES era with The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, and Earthbound. Now the last 3 games as I rank them are all the shoot 'em ups. This doesn't mean I don't like shoot 'em ups. I love shoot 'em ups. It's just Oniken plus Odallus collection and Reverie Sweet As Edition. And for me, they're a much higher tier than these shoot 'em ups. But my favorite of the 3 shoot 'em ups is definitely Dimension Drive. I really like the gameplay mechanic of having to swap between the 2 different screens. That adds just a very interesting, complex, and unique gameplay layer to the shoot 'em up genre and adds a new layer of difficulty, which, you know, I like difficult games, so I don't mind that a bit. But very cool shoot 'em up, like that one quite a bit. Second favorite is going to be Shikhondo Soul Eater. I just found it to also be pretty unique. I like the art style in the game. I like the music as well. I like the bullet hell aspect of it. And I just found it to be a little more fun and interesting than my least favorite game of the 5, which is RXN Raijin. Now, this is not a bad shoot 'em up, I just don't think it's a great shoot 'em up. It's a little bland to me, but it's not terrible. And if you like shoot 'em ups, if you're a fan of the genre, you might like this game. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below if you're a fan of shoot 'em ups and you've played this game and what you think of it. But that is how I rank the first 5 releases from East Asia Soft. There you have it, folks, the first 5 releases from East Asia Soft on the Nintendo Switch. So just a quick recap. We have release number 1, Dimension Drive. Release number 2, RXN Raijin. Release number 3, Shikhondo Soul Eater. Number 4, Reverie Sweet As Edition. And number 5 is Oniken plus Odallus Collection. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about East Asia Soft and their first 5 releases. Which one is your favorite? Which one is your least favorite? How do you rank them? Let me know all that in the comments down below. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button so that you can join the RetroWolf88 family. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. And until next time, keep playing games and having a good time, and I will see you all in the next video.